You're watching the Brotherhood of Gaming video game show, the only video game show that knows what it takes to make a great Sonic game and knows which ones aren't. I'm your host, William Morris.
And I am your co-host, Eugene Morris.
Now guys, be prepared because we have another potentially very long intro coming your way, so if any of you guys are easily offended by that, you can either click the link below to skip it, or...
Duh! Watch it! You don't have to unsubscribe. Skip ahead if you want to. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it!
Couldn't have said it better myself. Meanwhile...
What the...
Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the weirdest topics of conversation you can have. So be sure to go to our podcast section later on. There'll be a link here, and be sure to subscribe and stuff because we're going to have a whole entire conversation about Sonic the Hedgehog and his nature because we feel like that this is something that needs to be addressed and talked about at least once.
What did you do? Put elephant glue in this thing?
Well, we finally got ourselves a Nintendo Wii-U, which now enables us to be able to review games that appear on it. And our first game of choice was no doubt going to be Sonic Lost World.
Okay, I didn't need your whole life story. A simple good to go would have been cool.
Ever since it's been out, we've been trying our hardest to avoid hearing reviews about it. But no doubt, we were going to somehow hear from a certain people what they thought. And while most were mixed, it's known that quite a lot of people really didn't like this game. Which, gotta be honest, doesn't say a whole lot with Sonic, because it's not exactly the harbinger of gaming perfection.
Whoa, that's harsh!
This brings up the common misconceptions and sayings about Sonic fans and Sega themselves. Now when we played this game, we didn't think about it at first. But after we played this game for a while, we started to have flashbacks about them. I feel like an asshole in this thing. Recalling how Sonic games suffer an identity crisis, or how Sonic fans are the worst kind of fan, and how Sonic fans don't know what they want, they just want to complain. Well, to a shocking surprise after playing this game, we cannot deny the validity of some of these claims. Over the years, Sonic has gone all over the video game genres, some with minimal success. This is largely probably due to Sonic having to constantly grow and adapt to the technological advancements the game industry has gone through. After generations and colors, many people were very happy with the results and saying that Sonic was back on the right track. Many people were very happy saying that Sonic is back. It took 10 years, but he's back.
And then we hit Sonic Lost World. Now offhand I know that kind of sounded like a bad thing, but this was my honest thought when the game was first released because I never got the chance to play it for myself and all I could really hear was the overwhelming negativity that surrounded it.
It's as if Sega took a whole step backwards, but the mere thought bugged us so much that we had to experience for ourselves. I mean, no way could we ever top this. But from the very beginning, people were already complaining that Sonic Lost World was going to be a big, huge Super Mario Galaxy ripoff.
Predictable.
Now that's something always bugged me too. Even if it was a ripoff, who cares? Last time I checked, Super Mario Galaxy was a really good game. Just because a game or a movie borrows a similar idea doesn't immediately doom it for failure. Besides, wouldn't you rather it be modeled after something, good rather than something horrible?
No!
But us older Sonic fans don't see this game really as a Super Mario Galaxy clone, but we do see it as an unreleased, popular Sonic game from 1996 that to this day has fans still trying hard to make their own versions of it. That's impressive. That game is Sonic Extreme.
Just look at this! I mean, wow! If you really wanted to get technical, it could be argued that Sonic did this idea first. But due to technology restraints, the game couldn't be made. Well, not well at least. But for us, that's what we saw! Sonic Lost World looks like a modernized recreation of what Sonic Extreme could have been. Now of course it's our own speculation, but it's no more or less true or valid than anyone else's.
At the very least, we can defend Sonic Lost World to be any game it wants to be. The bottom line is, how's the game itself? Is the gameplay fun? Is the music enjoyable to listen to? Does it control well? Is it worth the money? Well, it's time to find out.
Now at this point, it should be well known that Sonic's storyline shouldn't be taken any more serious than Super Mario's storylines. I mean, the last time a Sonic story actually got particularly serious was almost a decade ago with Sonic Heroes.
Nowadays, it usually boils down to Dr. Robotnik getting involved with trying to control some otherworldly power that is far beyond him, and it ends up biting him in the ass, leaving Sonic and friends to clean up the wreckage, with Eggman pulling a last-ditch effort to come out on top only to have Sonic knock him down a peg.
We're not against a simple concept, because back in the day, that's all we can expect from stories. You're the hero, you're good. He's the villain, he's bad. Go defeat him. What helps Sonic games on the side of this, though, is the sense of humor that is incorporated into the scenes. While not every joke is a knee slapper, few of them and some of the characters do get a good chuckle, especially when they ham up the stereotypes they portray. For example, this emo villain is freaking hilarious.
Sigh, everything seems so pointless.
Hey, what did you do with Tails?
What? Seriously? We captured you.
You wish! You grabbed my friend and I want him back!
Man, this day keeps getting lamer and lamer. Whatever. I gotta go tell the others the bad news. Giving bad news is actually the one thing I enjoy.
Other than that, it's just basic, simple storytelling. Only a couple of familiar faces show up in the story, but some felt overwhelmed by having too many, so I guess this isn't a bad thing. It's simple, predictable, but enjoyable.
The gameplay section of the Sonic game is always going to be the one that defines whether it's going to suck or be good. And this is why we spent so much time analyzing it, as well as the fans, because we just didn't understand it.
We by no means went into the game with a bad attitude, but with some of the backlash we managed to hear, we at least expected to be somewhat disappointed. But what the hell? The game is great! We were a tad confused at first because we were so hell-bent on trying to find what people didn't like so much that we really felt neck-deep in analyzing it. Lost World is a throwback game to its earlier generations. It didn't become apparent right away, but after we noticed a few things, its classic charm really started to show. The first ringer was noticing that upon completing levels, you didn't get letter ranked. Thank God, similar to the retro Sonic games.
While choosing levels in individual zones, you will find that you are able to freely explore each level as you go through them, which you are actually going to want to do because in each and every level there will be 5 red rings hidden.
If you manage to find and collect every single one, you unlock all of the Chaos Emeralds per zone, and then the power of playing the levels as Super Sonic with all of his enhanced abilities is yours, just like the old Sonic games.
Each level has a specific layout. Some require you to sometimes slow down and take your time to figure out your obstacle. And some will have you running to your heart's content. Some will be interesting creative levels. To add on, there's a lot of zones and levels. So on the plus side, this Sonic Lost World does serve to be a lengthy adventure with replayability in its levels, encouraging you to go back and find new ways to complete a stage and find its secrets, just like the old Sonic games. While controlling Sonic, the speed is affected by the trigger button. The right trigger makes him sprint, while the analog makes him jog. The left trigger activates the spin dash, which can be amplified by hammering the jump button.
Sonic does have a few new abilities this time around. While holding the sprint button along a wall or next to any sort of obstacle, you can traverse along it to complete the stage.
Sonic's double jump returns as well as 2 kinds of homing attacks, his regular one you're familiar with, and now a kick. By pressing either B or Y in mid-air, we'll choose which attack he uses. Some enemies have different defenses, so you will need to use trial and error to figure out which of these is more effective. Speaking of enemies, Sonic, depending on some foes, can target them more effectively. When near a foe, a beacon will appear over them. The longer Sonic keeps that beacon on them without attacking, the target will charge. When it's maxed out, and you will know when this happens, Sonic can attack for massive damage. Yes, I said that.
There are also a couple of neat additions. Sonic's bounce is back, he can now grab ledges to save himself from pitfalls, and the return of the Wisps, which, as you know, are from Sonic Colors. Now we want to make it clear that we didn't have any problem with the Wisps returning.
They were a tad gimmicky, sure, but at least they were quick and interesting to pull off, and not nearly as inconvenient as, let's say, turning into a werehog. So they aren't worth complaining about, assuming if they ever were. There's even a few new ones with new powers like the Crimson Eagle and the Musical Wisp.
To add on to the fun, you can have your friends join in as well.
with different kinds of flying planes, choppers, jets, and balloons. Friends can play with you in levels as these things and fly around Sonic. They are restricted in going where Sonic goes, but they do have the freedom of attack enemies and collecting rings for Sonic. So in all honesty, they're about as worthwhile as Tails used to be, just like in the old Sonic games. At least they can keep up with Sonic. You don't have to worry about leaving your second, third, or fourth player behind.
After completing levels, you also have the ability to race friends if you like. You also have other options, such as a time attack and a Weverse, where you can post your opinions on levels and some other shit.
Talking of which, as you progress through the game, there will be 5 items that Sonic can carry throughout each and every stage that you can activate freely via the touchscreen. The items that you can't carry, however, will be discarded or transferred over to another player across the internet.
Outside of levels, you can find little bonus levels that will increase the amount of animals you save. Why does this matter? Well, levels will be unlocked depending on how many you saved. Fortunately, you won't ever have to worry about it since you will unknowingly have saved more than enough to progress. Also, on a side note, you may notice Omochao. He will provide you with some mini challenges to complete, which you may also unknowingly have already done while adventuring. For those who seek a greater challenge, there is an online ranking system which you can use to compare how much better you are at the game than other people.
And finally, the bosses. While they are very colorful and very interesting, they're not very challenging, and to be honest, the whole game is actually fairly simple to beat.
There are areas of challenge, especially when trying to find those red rings and obtaining them. But other than that, there is very little consequence for losing in the game. If you do manage to lose all your lives, you are immediately restocked and back in the level. As the game progresses, it does start to get a little harder, but nothing insane.
So, are there any bad parts to this game? As we said earlier, this game is not very hard. The bosses are embarrassingly easy. But the worst part is this thing.
You know what it is? It's the equivalent to the white Tanuki suit in Mario. It's a freebie for the people who suck at the game, and it gets you past to the next checkpoint. This thing sucks. I agree with Mike Matei. This everybody is a winner garbage gets in the way of actually feeling accomplished. I'll let him say it.
As with most games, as you play through each stage, it gets more difficult as it progresses. Sometimes you'll make it to a stage that's very difficult, and you might end up dying quite a few times. In Super Mario 3D World, they added something new. When Mario dies 5 times or more in a level, a block comes up in the beginning of the stage that contains an invincibility leaf. The invincibility leaf gives Mario the white Tanuki suit, which is pretty much just a cheat to get you through the stage because you died too many times. Aw, you can't beat the stage? Here, let's take away all the challenge and let you beat it. This is awful! This destroys everything playing video games is all about. Back in the old days, you play a game and if it got too hard, well, too bad. You just have to do it again, and again, and again. It was called trial and error. The whole fun of playing games was challenging yourself, improving your skills, and then finally applying those skills that you've learned to defeat the stage. Failing is an essential part of any video game. You have to fail to get any sense of accomplishment when you finally do win. But the white Tanuki suit just throws that out the window and says, here you go kid, have a freebie. In fact, have it on every stage since you have no skills and you don't want to try. To me, this is one of the worst things I've ever seen incorporated into any video game. To be fair, you don't have to get the suit. You can easily just walk by the block and play the game without cheating, but just the fact that they even considered giving people the option is still disgusting. Because you know any little kid that plays this game is just going to use the suit to make their way through and not give it a second thought. This everyone's a winner stuff is a bunch of bullshit. If you suck, you should lose.
You know, when I was trying out for my high school football team, not everyone made it. Where's the motivation to try harder? Where's the motivation to improve yourself? With things like this, it's gone. Because developers feel the need to put a pillow under everything.
Aside from that, it's a pretty good game.
Sega always manages to somehow create the most interesting and entertaining soundtracks to listen to, with Night still taking #1 in my spot. But regardless, Sonic Lost World is indeed enjoyable with its music and unique soundtrack, but nothing spectacular or amazing, but good enough for you to hear, as well as leaving you something to hum while you're at work. All we can say is that at the end of the day, if you're playing this game like a modern Sonic game, then you are playing it wrong. So put your mentality back into the days of the Sega Genesis with Sonic 1 through 3 and Knuckles, and you should be able to play this game just fine. Meanwhile, guys, that's all we have for today. You've been watching the Brotherhood of Gaming Video Game Show, the only video game show that you know the rest. I am your host, William Morris.
And I'm your host, Eugene Morris.
Feel free to subscribe, go to our Twitter, Facebook, and all of that stuff. Watch our other videos. And, wow, this was a weird one.